Hi guys, took me a while to get around to this one because, well, I've been away and there's been various things happening with my birthday and various other stuff. And also I've been putting together a podcast with a couple of other YouTubers, namely Over the Edge and One Guy's Opinion. The first episode has gone up already and the second episode should be going up sometime this week, we hope. But anyway, to the point, today I'd like to talk about the Nintendo Switch and what I think about it. And there's a lot of people had a lot to say about this so far, including a couple of the guys I've already mentioned, and Corrupt Clay, who's also a YouTuber, and he's done a good video on it as well. But I'd like to give you my take on it and tell you why that I think that the Nintendo Switch may have a problem. So, we all know that it was released on October the 16th, and it had its name changed at that point from the NX, as it had been known, to the Switch. Now, I don't know if any of you guys know this, but Switch is a BDSM term for someone who likes to be both dom and sub. So that was quite funny to start with. Boogie2988 said something about this, but he mentioned that it was to do with the gay community, but it's actually in the BDSM community as well, as you might expect. So there's going to be a lot of jokes about the Nintendo Switch. But anyway, what do we know about it? Well, it's a hybrid console, and you guys will probably know that already. And that means that it's both a handheld and a home console. And you get the handheld, and then you can dock it to become a home console and watch it on your telly and play it on your telly. The handheld is a 6.3-inch 720p multi-touch device, which, well, I don't know if you guys realise this, but my phone has already got better resolution than that, and my tablet certainly has. So it's not exactly cutting edge on that front. The snap-in controllers, or Joy-Cons, do give an advantage over most tablets in the fact that you can actually play it on the go like a proper machine because it'll have proper controls. So that's a nice touch. But there's an issue for me there as well. If you looked at the video that they released, people were there playing sort of multiplayer by using one controller each. And I don't know about you, but those controllers looked really small for my tiny little hands. And the other issue I have with that is that if you look at the way they connect, there may be a problem going on with loose connections, so on and so forth. And I would hope that Nintendo make it so that you can replace those particular items. Whether that will be the case, I don't know. And nobody else has really brought that up. But I do think that there's an issue there with these things wearing out. And do you want to replace the whole bloody thing? I would hope you wouldn't have to. The other thing that didn't come up was battery life for the thing. And that's a big deal. So we're already getting to the point here that we weren't really given a great deal of information. We did find out that the right hand Joy-Con has got an infrared sensor on it, presumably to control your telly or whatever. If you're watching, I don't know, Netflix or something, maybe you can use it for that. The home console, I've already said, that side of it is going to be via a docking station, and you will be able to use a Pro controller with it. And that looks something like the Xbox One controller, which is no bad thing. And they've reoriented the sticks so that you've got the stick on the right-hand side is the same layout as it is on the Xbox One now and the PS4. And that's much better than it way it was, certainly for me, because I found on the previous Pro controller for the Wii U, I kept slipping off and hitting buttons when I was playing, which wasn't ideal. So that's an improvement, and I'll give Nintendo a thumbs up on that one. It's based on NVIDIA Tegra chip, though, again, I'm going to keep coming back to this. It's unclear which Tegra chip we're going to get. If it's the same Tegra chip that we've got in the NVIDIA Shield, it'll be okay, but it's not exactly going to be groundbreaking, and it'll already be behind the curve as regards competing with the Xbox One or the PlayStation, certainly with the Pro and the upcoming Xbox One Scorpio, or whatever it'll be called when it's finally released. So we're getting to the crux of it here, I think, that we're looking perhaps at maybe an underpowered device. So moving on from that, the other thing we found out was that it uses cartridges, which, okay, I've got no problem with that. I think cartridges are a good idea, apart from a couple of things. It takes cartridges, but it won't take the Nintendo 3DS cartridges, so there's no backwards compatibility there. And obviously the fact that it hasn't got a disc-based drive even in the docking station, means no backwards compatibility for Wii or Wii U games either. So no backwards compatibility. And I think, I'm not getting all pissy and oh, why can't I have this stuff? I just think it's a bad marketing decision, because if you look at Nintendo, they have one of the best back catalogues, if not the best back catalogues of games out there. And to not have that available to the players who've already spent money, especially on the Wii U, when you've already spent money on a console that tanked, let's be honest, if you spent money on those games, you're going to be expected to buy them again. I don't know, maybe Nintendo will have some way you can trade in and get it. I don't know, but I very much doubt it, not given Nintendo's track record. And you can't have the ability to play the Wii U games via disc. Okay, I understand that. But why not the digital copies? There's no reason why the digital copies couldn't be made available. I don't know, maybe they will. Maybe we'll find out more about that in January. But the way they're talking, it seems not. But that brings me to games in general. Okay, it's not going to have backwards compatibility, but what about looking forward? What about the games that it's going to have on the system when it's released? Well, first party for Nintendo has always been the strong point, hasn't it? Let's be honest. And we were shown The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, hands up, I'm not a Legend of Zelda fan. I have a friend who's a massive fan of Zelda, but it's not really my cup of tea. But I have to accept, in the same way that I accept that classical music's great, even though it's not my thing, that it is solid. The Zelda games have always been extremely well put together. So, everyone's going to be looking forward to that. Certainly the Nintendo fans are going to be looking forward to the Nintendo games coming out. But that's not all that we need on this. And I didn't think Breath of the Wild looked particularly great. I was talking to another friend of mine about this the other day, and he said he thought it looked god-awful. I won't go that far, but it wasn't anything to write home about for me. And I know a lot of people were saying it was, but I think it was a little bit of Emperor's New Clothes going on there. I think it looked okay, but nothing special. But that brings me to third party. And, we were shown NBA 2K17 and we were shown Skyrim. But then we found out that those games may not be on the system. I suspect that they probably will be on the system eventually, but I don't know. Nobody knows. And they may not be. So if you're buying that system, if you're buying the Switch on the strength of those games and the idea that you may be able to play them on the move, sorry guys, it may not happen. So it was a bit of smoke and mirrors there. And it's following the same path, exactly the same path as we got with the Wii U. Oh, we're going to have all this third-party support. No. What'll happen is we'll get the same as we always get with Nintendo. There'll be all this talk about third-party support, and then it'll fizzle out. Unless the Switch sells like hotcakes. If the Switch is flying off the shelves, then third-party developers will be crazy to ignore it. But if it's not, if it's only just sort of ticking over, which I hate to say it, but I suspect it will be, third-party support is going to dry up pretty fast. And that brings me to marketing. We get the reveal, which tells us next to nothing. And I feel, Nintendo are being cagey to the point of hiding something. Maybe they're scared to reveal Switch until the Christmas hubbub's over about the PSVR and PS4 Pro and, even the Xbox One S. Maybe they're waiting for that to die down until sort of January and people are looking around for something new and they're hoping to squeeze in the gap. That doesn't exactly fill me with confidence. It feels like they're being really timid. And I don't want Nintendo to be timid. I want them to come out and slap the cards down on the table and say, this is us and this is what we're doing. This feels like, those guys aren't doing anything in March, so we'll put it out then. That makes me really nervous. And coupled with the apparent lack of power, it makes me wish Nintendo had been more bold and created a console that came out with backwards compatibility for the Wii U and Wii at least, could handle 4K when docked, and had confirmed third-party support with some games to show when they did the reveal. That would have been a console to get excited about. And frankly, if they'd have done that, it would have been a console that I'd have been prepared to pay a premium for. So in short, basically, I think that Nintendo have been too timid, as I've said. They've fallen back on appealing to people by being different and having gimmicks, and that only worked for one console, and that was the Wii. It certainly didn't work for the Wii U. And even on the 3DS, the 3D screen failed as a gimmick. Nobody cares about that. So by being timid, I think they'll fail to compete both in the mobile space and as a home console. The product appears to me like it lacks focus, and as such it's going to have limited appeal, which is exactly the same problem that we had with the Wii U. I sound like I've got a real problem with Nintendo, and I don't. I've got history, the same as any other gamer out there. I've got history with Nintendo. And mostly it's good, apart from the YouTube stuff, and I can't make YouTube videos because of their policies, and that's for another video. But I have got good history with Nintendo. I've had great times with Nintendo, just like all of you guys have. And I really want them to succeed with the Switch, but I just don't see it. Let's hope they prove me wrong. And I have to come back here this time next year and tell you guys I was an idiot for underestimating them. But at the moment, I certainly don't think it's going to be dominant in the market. I think it's going to be dominated by its competition. I really do hope I'm wrong. Okay, anyway, that's me done again. I'm going to get myself a cup of tea as usual. Don't forget to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like this, or give us a thumbs down if you disagree. And come into the comments and we can have a chat as usual. And I will speak to you guys again soon. Bye.